And now, Deborah Kobylt live.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today on Deborah Kobylt Live. And we're joined by Melissa Fino. She is the founder of Love Your Life Community. Also, just wrote this amazing book, Little Miss Perfect. And I guess what you're going to teach us how to be perfect? No, right? You also are a business and perfectionism coach. I got to hear about that too. And also, you're just launching a new program on domestic violence. Thanks so much for being here, Melissa. It's an honor.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you've been on our show before, so I like to call you a friend to the show. But since then, you've done an awful lot to grow yourself and even the work that you do with other people, particularly women, right? So your latest venture, we'll get into your book shortly, is business coaching for women, right? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, the last time I was on the last time we met, I actually had just started coaching myself, and I struggled a lot my first couple of years when I was coaching in building my business because I wasn't confident enough in my own skin to sell my business. It's a byproduct of who I was. And I also kept watching what everyone else was doing, and the market saturated online. And once you do that, you're kind of like falling back.
Wow. So when you help women with business, what is it that you do? Could you give us sort of I want to call you because I'm locked, right? I don't know what to do. I have an idea and I don't have any idea how to get it off the ground. What are some of the tools that you teach women on how to do all that?
Yes. So I call it business and perfectionism because so many women have overcome something in their life and that becomes their purpose. But at the same point in time, they're also unaware of how to make it become their purpose. They're afraid that maybe they're not good enough in doing that. They don't know how to get it there. So I help women essentially get online, figure out who their client is, do the research so that they can make themselves obviously unique in what their business is so that they can brand and market themselves and help them sell themselves.
What I like is business coaching. It's a lot different than going to school and taking a business course, right? It's pen and paper. You work with them to help them find their goals and achieve them goals, and you give homework too, right?
Oh, so much so. I actually was introduced to coaching during my last semester at USC. I took a coaching and consultation course, and that's how I started coaching in itself.
Yeah. But again, a lot of people don't know how to get that first start. Just as you said, they're intimidated, they're scared. How do you help them take the first step? And then how do you help them continue?
Yes. So my clients, when we first begin, we take a 90-minute deep dive and we do all of the bare bones of what their business is going to look like, what their product's going to be, what their price point is going to be, how they're going to market themselves. So often when people are just stepping into the online space, they think they need to be on every single social media platform. They think they need to be having 7 different offers rather than one. So they get sidetracked. So I help them create essentially a blueprint for what their business is going to be to help them create success with ease.
Hmm. What is sort of the business that happens to be popular right now, if you will, or trending that a lot of people are interested in getting into? Is there one?
Well, so a lot of people are into coaching in itself, but
Hmm.
coaching is not just one category. Obviously, there's business coaches, there are specifically sales coaches, mindset coaches, there's energy coaches, all different kinds of healers. Virtual assistants is one of the biggest things that is taking off right now while everyone's stuck at home on their Zoom call. You can be here in California and have your assistant be in Connecticut doing all of the work for you. So that's a great thing.
Hmm. That's a huge business, right? Especially virtual assistant. To be honest with you, I have an assistant and she helps me in New York. So it's worked out great because you don't need to sit side by side with someone anymore. A lot of the work that we do can be done virtually. So I think that's actually been a real plus, right?
I love having my assistant is in another time zone. And for me, I love it because it's like I'm sleeping and she's doing the work that I can't be doing while I'm sleeping. And when I wake up,
That's great.
yeah.
It's all done. Let's talk a little bit about your book, Little Miss Perfect. Learn to love the inner critic and fall in love with yourself. Look, we've been hearing forever to how to fall in love with yourself. And very often, especially when I used to hear that phrase, I think, what the heck does that mean? So for others asking the same thing, what does that mean? What does it mean, Melissa?
Little Miss Perfect is my whole entire story of learning how to love myself. And I'm 42 years old. So that took a really long time for me to go through that process of kind of going through the layers that I had, my protective barriers, essentially. Let's just call them those. And I didn't understand what my own personal values were because I had both my parents were Portuguese and they brought those cultural values into the home. And I ended up being rebellious, um, swallowing a lot of my feelings and emotions and kind of carrying that around for decades.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. They were more of an immigrant culture coming over here, and it really clashes, and it's really different, right? With what a young American girl thinks she should be doing. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, so much so. When I was in junior high school, everybody was at the dance, and I was at Portuguese school, which was 3 hours additional after regular school. I was like, I just want to be like everyone else. No.
Yeah. Of course, we look back at those times and we go, that would have been kind of interesting to learn more about Portuguese school. But, when you're, like you said, in middle school, high school, you're like, forget about it. So, but when you say you were rebellious, Melissa, you were really rebellious, right? You dropped out. Tell us your lowest points.
Yeah, I was definitely extremely rebellious. I dropped out of high school. I was 16 years old. It was actually the first semester of junior high school. I dropped out of high school, and then I went to community college, which was 2 miles down the road from my house, my senior year of high school. But I dropped out again immediately. That was within like 3 weeks. So this time I was spending money and dropping out. And I had labeled myself a failure right then and there. I was
Yeah, because you got that in your head, right? You couldn't figure out school. You're disappointing your parents. But how did you get out from there? Because once you dig that hole, sometimes you go even deeper. And I know you did go deeper. Could you tell our audience?
Yeah, I definitely went deeper. Because I wasn't loving myself by any means. I was the mirror and everything that I was attracting in life. So I was attracting a whole lot of negative people, behavior, experiences, everything. So I ended up getting a couple of jobs, finding one that I was comfortable with. And I worked at that restaurant job that I was comfortable with for over 8 or 9 years. But
Wow.
I was sleeping away my days. I was doing
Mm.
anything to not feel any emotions, to just kind of go through the motions in my life. So I was drinking a lot at night and I would sleep late in the afternoon and I'd give myself about 2 or 3 hours of daylight before I had to go to work. So I couldn't really think about what was happening.
Yeah. What got you off out of bed and off the couch, though? It's kind of sad.
Right? Yeah. And then I also attracted um, men in my life who kind of did this, were more negative. The thing that got me off the couch the most was when my father passed away.
Yeah. It was a big wake up call for you, right? An awful time, a sad time. But I don't know, maybe dad was saying, listen, Melissa, this is the only way you're going to do it. I'm leaving so you can get out. You think about that sometimes?
My father's experience for me, it was the post traumatic growth that I needed in my life. So it was a year of me feeling more depressed after my father passed away. But eventually I got up off the couch and was like, crap, this is my one life. I have to take it. This is my chance. This is my opportunity. So I always say my father's last breath in life is my first breath in life. And it really just shifted so much for me. And I ended up going back to community college and getting straight A's and then getting into my undergraduate, graduating with honors, getting into USC, and every step, every actionable step opened the door to another opportunity, which was just beautiful the way it all unfolded.
What did you study at USC? You got your master's, right?
I got my master's in social work. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's great because you could use that sort of education with anything. And then you started helping women in particular, but really everyone, but particularly women. What is Love Your Life Community? How do you help people with that?
Yeah, so Love Your Life Community was born about 6 years ago. And I actually wrote Little Miss Perfect right when I graduated from USC. And that was 6 years
Ah,
ago. Yeah. Um, and I had pitched it to every publisher. I had a book that was about the size of the Bible, and I had pitched it to every publisher in the States. And it wasn't happening for me. What they told me was that they wanted me to build my audience. build my social media following, do all of these things, and then they would want to work with me. And I got lost in that.
Mm. Really? What do you mean? You were just like obsessed to growing it so that they would take you seriously? What are you saying?
It's so easy to get online and kind of get addicted to getting more followers and these different kinds of things. And what ended up happening is that I built a larger following of people that just really wanted to be my best friends. Like they're all like, they all want to go out and have coffee, but they never really wanted to purchase or buy anything from me.
Meaning the curriculum that you had set up, right, to help people achieve their goals, whether it was be on a personal level to sort of, get off that couch, or in a business level, right? So what did you do to pivot that? Getting away from the people who just wanted to hang out and have coffee. Like, how did you change that?
That's where the past year has shifted so much. And it was all about getting really, really concise and serious about the way that I was showing up online, but also the stuff that I was posting.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not,
go ahead.
They call it branding pillars, where you have like 5 things that you consistently post about on social media. So your audience knows what to come to you for.
Right. Because a lot of times people are all over the place, right? So what are you saying? The first rule of branding yourself and posting would be what?
To prepare your content ahead of time so it's meant for your audience rather than how you're feeling on that day.
I love that. So you don't just post like if it's whatever, like a hashtag day. You don't just post that. You post and you're consistent about your message. Whatever your post is, it's consistent with Melissa Fino and Love Your Life community and your book and everything else, right?
Yes. So when people come to your page, they know what to expect. And it's not you just kind of scrolling around one day, oh, I have to post something, I don't know what to post, and then posting something random that doesn't make any sense and confuses your audience.
Okay, that's a great question. Do you have to post every day? Because the Bible is at least once a day, and not everybody has it in their head to post something once a day. What do you think?
It's really good to be consistent so your audience knows what to expect from you. Mm-hmm. I like to post every day. I like to show up every day because I know that people in my community need me. And I think that that's part of being in the online space. But if that's something that's not within you and it just makes you uncomfortable, and then I definitely suggest don't doing it. I suggest doing what is aligned with your heart.
So Love Your Life community sort of blends how you need to feel about yourself, right? In order to really pivot and whatever business goals you have, make a success of yourself.
Yes, because all of the coaching that I do with my clients essentially starts off with your mindset. Because if your mindset isn't right, if you're not confident, you're not going to be confident in your business.
So let's talk about some of the steps. And we went through them a little bit. Don't you ask people, what do you want to do, right? First, you ask them, what is your business? And you ask them, how are you going to get there? Is there anything blocking you? Could you tell me, like, let's say, Deborah, I'm coming to you. What would you ask me initially? What would our first meeting be like?
One of my first big questions would be, I would ask you, where do you see yourself in 6 months or a year? What's different from where you are now? And where would you want to be?
Mm-hmm. And what else? Keep going. I want people to know like what they're going to get when they call you up.
Of course. What's kept you from achieving that? If we were to work together, what are 3 things that would continue to keep you from achieving that? So we can make sure that we set up plans ahead of time for when those things come up, because oftentimes obstacles with my family or, boundaries that you've set that you continuously allow other people to break. Then we go through the bare bones. What is going to be your business? Who's the client you're going to attract? What's your sales? Where are you going to be finding them? What makes you credible? What's the story behind why you're beginning this? Are you confident in selling it? A lot of times, especially for women can sell anything. Give them a water bottle, a bottle of vodka, all these different things, but tell them to sell their own business. It's affecting their confidence because they see selling their business is seeing a no to them, and that makes them kind of go back and shy away. So confidence is a really big thing in selling your business.
You've helped some clients, you don't have to name them, but in particular, what did you help them achieve? What types of businesses, and how did you help them reach their goals?
Yes. So I've helped a lot of different coaches in different aspects, sales coaches, nutrition coaches, health coaches, mindset, spirituality coaches. I let you know that there was one woman recently who had a health experience, and I'm helping her through that. She's going to be helping other women through that. All different kinds of businesses, virtual assistants.
Yeah, that is definitely a big one. Everyone I know is like, do you know a good virtual assistant? They're really trying to find someone to help them. I think that's terrific. How long is a program? If I were to come to you because I want to launch an idea, but at the moment it's just an idea. How long do you work with a person?
Typically 6 months, but I have women who've worked in my 6-month program who continuously go on because it's weekly support that keeps you going. And as you grow, as you start to take action, I mean, you know this, your dreams get larger, the goals that you want increase. Once you start to achieve something, you're like, I mean, originally I had decided that I wanted to publish a book. That was my biggest goal, publishing a book. Now it's like, okay, I'm gonna have 2 curriculums, build out this group coaching program, create my own podcast, do these different things. With every actionable step is something bigger that's along the way.
You must feel your dad tapping on your shoulder, huh?
I see him in butterflies, and there's butterfly trees all around me. Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was the one who gave you the push. That's pretty amazing. What does your mom think of all of your success? Because, you know, I know what it's like. You know, you have a kid at home and you're thinking, my gosh, what am I going to do? But you did it yourself. You know, she must be very proud.
Yeah. So I got really raw and shared a whole lot of my truth in this book.
Yeah.
Lows that it took me to. And I hadn't shared a lot of the truths that I had shared in that book with anyone, not even some of my closest friends. So my mom said she cried for about a month, but now she is definitely one of my biggest supporters in everything that I do. I told her that I was shifting my name to the Badass Entrepreneur, and she said, "Does that make me Grandma Badass?"
We talked about that. Wait, talk to me. What is your name going to be shifted to? The Badass Entrepreneur?
Yeah, I'm trademarking that right now. Yes.
I love that. I love at the very end, one of your chapters, it's too late, or is it? What does that mean? Is that for people who feel like their ship has sailed? Because there's a lot of people scared. That I want to sort of tap into those people because I know they're out there. I have friends who appear to be as successful as all get out, but they're scared to death to start something new.
Of course, it's scary for everyone, no matter what age you are. Everybody has some fear or doubt. Even if you're getting older, there's people who are younger who think that they're too young to make that step. There's always somebody who's going to have this insecure emotion about themselves. Is it too late? For me, was because, let's be honest, I went back to community college and I was 30. And then, you know, going back to getting my undergraduate degree and slowly progressing through all of these different things, I wasn't the youngest person, and I'm not the youngest person in the situation that I am now, but I'm blossoming and I'm becoming the best version of myself. And I think that that's the goal that everybody should have.
I don't know, Melissa, there's so many stereotypes in life, right? And I hope one really just, the ceiling is broken. And that's when you said, you know, I'm not the youngest. I consider that to be a great thing because, my God, how much experience do you have at 21? I mean, some versus what you have at 41, let's face it, or 61 or beyond, right? I always remember going to the Grandma Moses exhibit, right? And she was painting in her 80s, okay? And I remember thinking, wow, that's pretty cool. And she didn't start, I don't think, until she was like in her 70s. And I thought she wouldn't be Grandma Moses painting this stuff if she didn't have the life she led. I actually consider those of us with experience to be more valuable, don't you think? And I really mean that.
No, I mean, obviously it was all of those years of uncomfort and not feeling good enough that have shifted into this massive thing. So if you can shift it, which is, it's possible for anybody to shift it, no matter what they say, I can't do this, I can't do that, I don't believe you, I think it's a whole bunch of baloney. I think that you can shift the crap out of your story and make it the opposite of what it truly is. Because if I can be the high school dropout and then be here, anybody can do anything.
You said you also have a curriculum that you're starting, domestic violence curriculum. And that means a lot of things, not just physical, but also mental and emotional abuse. And very often that can really prohibit a woman from doing, or any person from doing what it is that they're supposed to do, because mentally they just don't feel like they can because they've been put down so often. How do you help a person out of that situation?
Yeah, that's so much where I was saying I have a new a new program that will be coming out at the end of the year, which is called You Are Not Your Story. And that will be for domestic violence survivors. And that's because I was one. And when I was not feeling good about myself, I attracted people who treated me exactly how I was feeling. I didn't know it in that moment that I was a mirror for everything that I was bringing onto myself. But that's exactly what was happening. And I think that right now it's like a pandemic and a pandemic with so many women and men and animals who are stuck at home. I'm a big old animal lover, so I can't not add animals into it, who are stuck at home and don't have access to the same resources that they would have because their children aren't going to school. The economy is, kind of in the tank, all of these different things. So being a domestic violence myself and having overcome being a domestic violence survivor and having overcome all of these different obstacles, all of the things that I've done with all of my social work background is bringing me into this place now where I can start to give back and help women who are in the same way.
What are some of the key steps to helping yourself when you've been abused? Because that's hard, because as we all know, the cycle just continues. How do you help someone initially to take, again, that first step? Because I really believe the hardest part is the first step, right? No matter what it is. How do you help them?
The hardest step is always going to be the first step is always going to be the hardest. And it's all about action in itself, but it's also knowing that you can't continuously swallow all of your thoughts and your ideas and everything whole, because when you're swallowing your truth for so long, those are the things that make you bottle up, and then you tend to carry that with you. And those thoughts those beliefs become your thoughts. You're reiterated in your head. They become everything that you tell yourself, when in all actuality, that's not true. So it's every actionable step that you can take. We talked about this a little bit earlier. If you're sitting on the couch all day, maybe it is going outside and starting to go for a walk and getting a little bit of mental clarity where you can see that there is life and freshness and newness outside.
It's funny you said that. A friend of mine was feeling a little blue, right? And I said, get out. I said, go for a walk around the block. I know you think your block is boring, but go look at a squirrel. Go look at some wildlife, a bird that landed on a leaf. I believe that can help turn us around, because when we feel like we're at one a little bit with nature, we're not really alone, even if we feel alone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. We're also, during those times, I think that we're running away from our feelings so much, when the idea is that if you keep running, those feelings and all of those emotions are going to continuously keep running after you and following you. It's not until you sit down and you actually process them. So it's kind of like, beginning, it might look as simple as writing a forgiveness letter for yourself, where you're sitting down and you're saying, I forgive myself for allowing this. I forgive myself for this experience. I forgive myself for every single thing that you're carrying with you, and allowing that to come out. Because it's the bottled up emotions that cause more problems.
What do you do, though, if you feel like you're trapped in your home? You feel like you're trapped and living with someone that you can't get away from. How do you do that? How do you mentally get stronger when you feel like you're always being pushed down?
It's a really difficult one. It is a really difficult one. And I err lightly on saying that, because in so many different ways, I always say that everyone has a choice, right? We all have choices. We're all on lockdown, but we have a choice of where we're going to live during lockdown, or different ways. We all have a choice. But at the same point, it's given the opportune moment to make that choice, given that circumstance.
It takes a lot of strength, but it also takes maybe picking up the phone or writing to you, sending you an email, or DMing you or something. Maybe that's what people need, a little help from somebody like you. There's a lot that you can get out of this book, people. So please pick it up. You're so raw, shedding the shit. I love that. Okay. Because we all have shit we have to shed. Letting the love in, but you also talk about what you've been through and how somebody else can do it. Because I really think that, we learn a lot of times from example, choosing happiness, as you said. It is a choice, right? Mm-hmm. This is a very thorough book, I have to tell you. The fact that you told me it was even thicker than this is pretty incredible, because this is really packed with some great stuff. Anything you want to share with our audience that you think they should know, not only about your curriculum, but about you, your book, and everything you're offering? Because it's a lot.
Yeah. Little Miss Perfect is something that I I've wanted to be a writer or an author since I was 11 years old. And when I was an adolescent, before I became rebellious, before I did all of these different things, I would write words on my bedroom walls, and I would write poetry, and I would do these different things. And I had always had this idea buried inside of me that I was going to be a writer. So having wrote this book was a dream that I had had since I was 11 years old. And
Wow.
yeah, I just think that we all have this idea, this dream, this notion that we carry with us. And some of us tell ourselves that we can't do it. And it's just, I know that we've talked about it so much already today, but that's the biggest thing right now is that if you can dream it, then you can achieve it. Like you definitely can.
So they need help. They're going to give you a call. You said it's about a 6-month curriculum. What does something like that cost without getting deep into the numbers? But is it similar to seeing a therapist every week, or is it like a one and done thing? How does that work?
It's a lump sum payment or a monthly payment, and it would be similar to seeing a therapist a week. The way that I see it is a lot of people sign up for so many courses and they shell out money for different courses and they never finish the courses because there's no accountability. There's nobody who's holding their hand and actually teaching them how to implement everything that they're learning. So they take 2 courses, 2 weeks. Usually by the 3rd week, everyone drops out and they're like, and there's a
Yeah.
large reason why somebody doesn't lose the weight, build their business, follow their dream. They need help. They need support.
What do you do when somebody comes to you week after week and they feel like they failed? They couldn't lose that weight because they kept stuffing in dessert, or they couldn't really make that first call or do whatever they needed to do for business because they were petrified. How do you help them not feel like they're a loser?
Yeah, that's not a failure.
Is that's embarrassing, right? And they might not want to call you or take the course and call you back. But how do you get them through that?
That's not a failure. That's where the perfectionism comes in. It's not a failure at all. With every actionable step you take, I like to call it the gray area. Everyone sees things as black and white. It's a failure or a loss. It's somewhere else. But with every actionable step you take, you're one step closer to your goal. It's just your expectation is with one step you're going to make it there. And that's not true. It doesn't happen that way. What ends up happening is if you're building your own business and you go out and you try to make your first sale and it doesn't work out that way, I'm sorry, boo-hoo. You actually made a really good step. It's how you look at it. You had your first sales call. You pitched your first client. You learned what worked, what didn't. There's always a win in everything.
Yeah. That's why I like people to know all the struggles that you had. Okay. You were so low, you tried to even take your life. And you ended up with a master's degree. You ended up helping countless other people because you were able to pick yourself up and you know how to help other people do it too. I like to say to everyone listening and watching this, please pick up your book, first and foremost, Little Miss Perfect. It's actually a terrific read. I really enjoyed it. I was actually going through it last night. I had a girlfriend on the phone. She didn't buy it yet. And I was reading some of the chapters to her. She goes, this is great. She may actually be calling you, to be honest with you. I'll give you her name. So when she calls, you'll know. It was just very practical advice. I think we all see ourselves in some of these chapters, Melissa.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because every single person struggled with an I'm not enough statement.
Mm-hmm. So you're doing courses, you're helping with business. At the end of the year, you're launching, which I think is going to be very successful, domestic violence curriculum. You've got the book. What's next for you, Melissa? What are you doing for you? I guess all this?
I just keep saying I'm working and working until, it's safe to go travel somewhere beautiful. I'd really like to go back to Portugal. I have some elder family there, but they're not able to see anyone. That would be my next vacation.
That's a good one. Have you ever gone back and seen where your parents come from, where your dad comes from in particular?
So my parents, we had a house there. We actually just sold it last year. My father is buried in Portugal.
Oh.
Yeah, I have a lot of family still there. The person I'm actually talking about is my father's brother, who is his best friend. I'd love to go see him. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, everybody, please, I hope that you learned quite a bit from talking to Melissa Fino. If people get in touch with you, what's the best way to do it? Do they email you, go on your website, DM you on Instagram? I'm a big Instagram person. I'll just contact anybody, famous, not famous, and they all write back. But what, right? I mean, I've reached out to some super famous people and they're like, oh, hi. I'm thinking, wow, this is something else. So, I'm serious. So is that the best way to get you, or what do you tell people?
Yeah, so right now you can find me at Love Your Life Community on anywhere. So if you want to get in touch with me on my website, Love Your Life Community, social, Love Your Life Community, everything, Love Your Life Community, and Little Miss Perfect. You can get the link on my website, but it's also available at Amazon as an ebook and a paperback. And I'm in the middle of doing the Audible version right now.
Oh, that's wonderful. Are you doing any group classes? Because that could be helpful to people too sometimes, like maybe just a couple of people together, Zooming.
So I have a group coaching program and one-on-one.
Oh, that's fantastic. You've got, my gosh, Melissa, you've done it all. You've thought of everything. Thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it, Melissa. I admire you. I admire where you've come from and how you've grown and how you help so many people. So Melissa Fino, Little Miss Perfect, the best title ever. Please pick up her book. Please reach out to her on her website or Instagram or whatever if you need any coaching. She's got some really great advice. She's been through it all. So appreciate you being here, Melissa. And for everybody watching and listening, thanks everybody for joining us today on Deborah Kobylt Live. We'll see you next time. Bye.